Something strange happens within a man's soul when he truly falls in love. Not when he's attracted to someone's looks, not when he's craving a night of passion, but when a woman touches something deeper, the realm of the unconscious. Carl Jung called this the awakening of the lover archetype, an ancient force within every man, but one that only awakens in the presence of a woman who resonates with his anima, the sacred feminine image he carries within from birth. He stops thinking the way he normally does. He doesn't decide to love you. He's pulled not by fleeting desire, but by a soul-level magnetism that makes it impossible to walk away. He starts remembering even the smallest things you've said, as if his brain restructures itself just to hold on to you. He shows up intuitively just when you need him, without anyone saying a word. And his eyes, they're no longer just looking. They revere you as if you're something both sacred and dangerously powerful. Jung once wrote, "The true lover does not see the other as a person, but as a reflection of their own unconscious. Because society won't let them. From a young age, boys are taught, don't cry, don't daydream, be strong, be logical, stay in control." So they learn to freeze their feelings, to blindfold themselves from their own hearts. Until they meet her, the one who accidentally stirs the forgotten part of the unconscious. Suddenly, emotions erupt. He acts on instinct, not logic. He may never say the words "I love you," but he will. Lock eyes with you like he can't look away. Find every excuse to be around you. Protect you like you're part of him. Ever think of someone and they text you at that exact moment? Mention a book in passing and he's reading it the next week. It's not just coincidence. Jung called it synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that happen when two unconscious energies resonate. Many women think they're overthinking, but Jung believed a woman's intuition is her radar for these unconscious frequencies. When a man truly connects with you on the unconscious level, his soul starts to resonate with yours. Jung warned, the lover is not the same as the seducer. The seducer shows up flashy, fiery, and fast, and fades just as quickly. The lover is quiet, deep, enduring. He can't walk away even when there's no logical reason to stay. The seducer comes when you're glowing and leaves when you need healing. The lover arrives when you're wounded and stays to help you heal. But Jung also emphasized even if unconscious resonance is their true love, only happens when both people become aware of it. Otherwise, the man might panic, pull away, even destroy what you share simply because he doesn't understand what's happening. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Jung. That's why so many relationships that feel like destiny fall apart, because neither person dared to bring light to their own shadow. There's a strange paradox in a man's emotional world. The deeper he loves, the quieter he becomes. Not because he has nothing to say, but because words feel powerless compared to what's burning in his unconscious. Carl Jung once said, "The unconscious doesn't lie. The body always speaks the truth the mind tries to hide." This is what leaves the most intuitive women feeling confused. He doesn't say, "I love you," but his eyes, his actions, his presence whisper it more powerfully than any words ever could. 1. The eyes gateways to the soul. Jung called the eyes the place where the ego meets the soul. When a man is activated by the lover archetype, he cannot look away. But it's not a possessive stare. It's reverent, awed, almost trembling as if he's standing before something sacred, terrified he might lose it. His pupils dilate. His gaze lingers longer than usual. And sometimes you catch him looking at you when he thinks you're not watching. It's not checking you out. It's contemplation. As Jung once said, When a man sees a woman as the image of the Anima, he is no longer himself. He enters a state of living meditation. 2. Time and space. When you become his gravitational center, a man who truly loves you doesn't show up out of obligation. He comes because his heart can't stand being far from you. He reshapes his schedule. No matter how busy, he finds time to text, to see you, to simply be there. He doesn't disappear for 3 days and send 2 lines to explain it. More tellingly, he draws physically closer. In a crowded room, his body leans toward you. When seated, his feet point your way. Even a casual touch, a brush of your hand makes him nervous, but he doesn't pull away. Jung believed the body is the map of the unconscious. You just have to learn how to read it. Sastro. Selective memory. When his subconscious holds on to you, you think he's not paying attention. But weeks later, he brings up something you barely remember saying. A childhood book. The name of your old pet. The scent you love. This isn't flirting. This is the unconscious recognizing an important presence. The brain only stores what carries emotional weight. Jung called it the imprint of the soul when someone begins to occupy space in your deepest mind. 4. Vulnerability. When he lowers the mask. It's not easy for men to admit fear, but a man in love will little by little let you see the part of him he hides from the world. The fear of failure, family wounds, dreams he gave up on. Has not telling you to gain sympathy. He senses that you can see him without judgment. Jung called this the exposure of the shadow, when a person feels safe enough to reveal their darkness. 5. Not what he says, but how he shows up. This is the most crucial sign, because almost everything can be faked except consistency. Has not hot and cold like a roller coaster, not disappearing and reappearing like nothing happened. No tests to see if you're worthy. He simply shows up. Every day. With a steady presence, you no longer need to question. If you've ever felt drawn to someone in a way you couldn't explain, if you've had a relationship that made you feel both elated and deeply afraid, it wasn't a logic flaw. It was 2 unconscious systems colliding. Jung believed true love isn't just emotional connection. It's unconscious resonance where ancient archetypes awaken and take the lead. And you won't need to ask if he loves you. You'll simply know by listening to your intuition. Have you ever felt like the universe is secretly nudging 2 people toward each other? You think of him and he texts. You're about to say something and he brings it up first. Little coincidences repeating over and over, as if a hidden language is at work behind the scenes. Jung called this synchronicity meaningful coincidences that can't be explained by cause and effect. And he believed it's the moment when 2 unconscious minds begin to touch. Synchronicity isn't superstition. It's a mechanism deep within the unconscious where things connect through frequency, not logic. When a man truly loves, he begins to experience this psychic resonance with you. He runs into you in unexpected places. You share the same dreams. He thinks of you in the middle of the day and unconsciously acts on it. Jung believed when 2 souls synchronize, time and space begin to bend. The truth is, you don't need to chase signs from the universe, because your own unconscious is already sending you the signal through your deepest intuition. One of the deepest signs of love isn't in compliments, gifts, or grand gestures. It's in how he reacts when you're hurt. When the guardian archetype awakens, he can't ignore your pain, physical or emotional. He senses your sadness before you even sigh. He actively shields you from what might hurt. He feels danger and acts before thinking. Jung called this instinctual loyalty a primal devotion, not driven by obligation, not by rules, but by a deep inner knowing You are now a vital part of his world. A man can say, "I like you" to many people, but with just one, he starts imagining the future. Not promises, not whatever you want he'll do, but natural visions where you're there beside him. You talk about your hometown. He says, "I'd love to take you there someday." You mention a difficult child, he jokes. "If it's ours, it better start learning baby care now." This isn't game playing. It's his unconscious reshaping his timeline to include you. Jung believed, we only imagine the future with what the unconscious has already identified as essential. You may wonder, is he for real? But one thing never lies: consistency. A man who truly loves isn't hot one day, cold the next. He may be awkward, quiet, unsure how to express it, but he's there. Not like a shadow, but like a root. Steady, present. Whether you're thriving, scared, or falling apart, that's not romantic love. That's deep love, the kind that doesn't need to be proven. There's a hidden reason why real love can feel terrifying. It makes us look in the mirror and see our own unconscious reflected back. Carl Jung once said, "True love is not just harmony, it is the collision of two shadows." When a man loves you, he may unknowingly begin a journey of inner discovery. He sees what he's missing. He feels the fear of losing control. He knows if he lets you in deeper, he will never be the same. And if he's not emotionally mature, he might pull away. Not because you did anything wrong, but because love touched the deepest fear in his soul. True love isn't just harmony. It's the meeting of two unconscious minds with all their light and all their shadows. It's the moment when no one can keep wearing a mask. Carl Jung called this moment the encounter with the soul mirror, when the other person reflects not only what we love about ourselves, but also what we've never dared to face. And the most painful part of love isn't rejection. It's being seen too clearly too soon when we're not ready to be that exposed. Jung discovered that each of us carries an inner image of the ideal lover, known as the anima in men and the animus in women. This isn't about surface preferences, not tall funny likes books. It's an unconscious image built over thousands of years of spiritual evolution. The anima is the woman inside a man's soul part, mother part, lover part, spiritual guide. The animus is the man in a woman's psyche, a symbol of will, purpose, and sacred presence. And when someone matches this internal image, something deep awakens. Have you ever met someone who made you feel like I've known them forever? One glance, one smile, and you're undone without explanation. That's projection. When the unconscious projects the inner anima or animus onto a real person. The catch is, we think we're falling in love with them, but we're actually falling in love with our own inner image reflected on them. Jung warned, if this projection isn't made conscious, it can cause pain and confusion when the real person doesn't match our unconscious expectations. That's why many men, when they fall deeply, suddenly pull away, not because they don't love you, but because they're afraid. Afraid you're touching the most vulnerable part of them, the part they've hidden from the world. True intimacy isn't just physical touch. It's when someone touches a part of you you've never shown anyone. When a man truly loves, he starts to feel exposed. He realizes how easily he could be hurt. He senses that you could wound him more deeply than anyone else. And if he's still carrying unhealed pain, this love becomes a mirror reflecting all his darkness. Jung described this as the confrontation with the shadow through love, when love isn't just about happiness, but transformation. This is the question every wise woman should ask. When a man is obsessed with you at first, then slowly grows distant, don't rush to blame yourself. Ask, is he in love with me or with an image he's projected onto me? When he starts to see you as you really are with strengths and flaws, Can he stay? Jung believed true love begins only after the projection fades and the other person stays to love your real self, not just their inner fantasy. When a man walks away after something that once felt so deep, don't assume you weren't enough. It might be you awakened something in his soul, and if he's not ready for that, he simply can't stay. Jung didn't see separation as failure, but as a necessary cycle for the unconscious of both people to grow. What matters is this: don't chase, don't cling to the idea of destined love. Instead, ask yourself, is this man capable of seeing me not as the image he needs, but as who I truly am? We've talked a lot about the man who loves from his unconscious, about the way he looks at you, about how he quietly shifts his habits not out of obligation, but from an inner calling, about how he moves closer even when the world doesn't require him to. But maybe the real question isn't, does he love me? Maybe it's, am I ready to be loved that deeply? You don't need a perfect man, a wealthy man, or someone who feels like a movie character. You need a man whose unconscious awakens in your presence. A man who can't help but look at you even in a crowded room, remembers the details you didn't even mean to emphasize, feels something shift in his chest every time you walk into the room. This is a man who doesn't love with intention, he loves by nature. He loves you in a way even he can't fully explain. He loves from a kind of soul recognition. One of the most beautiful things Jung ever said: love does not mean possession. It means recognizing in the other a part of yourself that longs to be lived. So no, you don't need tactics to keep someone who truly loves you. No need to strategize your texts, play hard to get or push-pull. The man who really loves you won't leave just because you're being honest. He doesn't love the role you're playing. He loves the unguarded version of you. But only if you're brave enough to show her. This is a truth Jung emphasized. Deep love doesn't arrive to soothe you. It comes to awaken the parts of your soul still asleep. When you love someone in the Jungian sense, you're not just entering a relationship. You're stepping into a rite of passage. This kind of love will confront the shadows you haven't healed, force you to drop the masks, and if you're brave enough to stay with the raw emotion, it will rebirth you. Know that you are the one who awakened something sacred in him. You weren't just a lover. You were the one who called him into the journey of meeting his anima, his shadow, his incomplete self. Maybe he wasn't strong enough to stay. Maybe he's running. But that doesn't lessen the love you gave. In fact, it proves the depth of your soul. That you didn't come to this life to possess someone, but to meet someone also, becoming who they truly are. Ask yourself, do I want someone just to pass time with, or someone to journey into the soul with? Do I want love that keeps me comfortable, or love that demands my growth? Do I want sweet promises, or to be truly seen and still loved? If you see yourself in this video, if there's a man who once stirred something deep and unconscious in you, share your story in the comments. Not just to tell it, but to affirm real love isn't rare. Most people just aren't awake enough to recognize it. And if you want this healing journey to continue, hit subscribe so you won't miss the next insight. Because this isn't just about love. It's about the spiritual awakening hidden inside the relationships we once thought were ordinary. So you've walked with me through this journey, a journey into the unconscious signals of a man who truly loves. But this path wasn't about figuring him out. It was about understanding yourself more deeply. Because every real connection, whether lasting or fleeting, is a mirror that shows you the parts of your soul you haven't yet seen clearly. Love is not the destination. It's the path itself. And the man you love or once loved may be the invisible teacher your unconscious called in. Maybe he never said he loved you, but his eyes lingered longer than anyone else's. He remembered the things you forgot you even said. He stayed silent when you cried, but his hand on your shoulder was real. He never made promises, but somehow he always showed up when your world was falling apart. If you've ever experienced this, don't doubt your feelings. It wasn't a fantasy. It was the wisdom of the unconscious. But you touched something sacred. You now know what it feels like to be loved, not with logic, but with soul. And that's enough. Enough to never settle for halfway love again. Enough to stop shrinking yourself just to be loved. Enough to move forward with a heart that is awake. If you've ever felt a connection that went beyond words, beyond logic, share your thoughts in the comments. Not just to tell your story, but so other women know they're not alone. That there is a language of love unspoken yet real, alive, life-changing. And if you want to go deeper into Anima Animus shadow and healing through love, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next part of this awakening journey. Here we're not chasing love hacks. We're practicing love as a spiritual path.